Hi everyone, welcome. This is Steve Hess, Director of User Experience at OpenBOM. Welcome to our webinar today. We give some attendees a moment to join. Can someone please enter in the chat if you can hear me and see the screen? Okay. Okay, all right, thank you everyone for responding. Okay, again, welcome. This is Steve Hess, Director of User Experience at OpenBOM, and welcome to today's fourth webinar in a series. This one is blending design and business data into a sensible bill of material. Want to be very sensitive of your time. We are recording this. Both the recording and the slide deck will be shared out with you later today or tomorrow. So let's go ahead and get started. I want to time box this to 30 minutes because I know everyone has a busy day. So quickly, what this is and isn't. This is a thoughtful conversation about bills of material. It's not a deep dive or an opportunity for anybody to market to you. So while we're not going to get into database theory and other things, I will present a few slides that you might find useful later on as you sort of follow up on this. Okay. Also, if there's any issues with latency or anything, please just enter in the chat if you're having any trouble or if you need me to slow down. So, okay. Let's just review quickly from Wikipedia. A definition of bills of material is a list of raw materials, subassemblies, and other things that are required to build your product or manufacture your product. So we're taking that simple approach, and we're going to kind of keep that in mind as we move through the webinar today. Okay, and quickly, I'd like to review a slide from last week's webinar, which is available to you on maturity and completeness of a bill of material and the value that it brings to your company. So while we're not going to dive into all these things, and there's a lot, I covered this in a lot more detail in the last webinar. We're going to talk about where on the spectrum you want to be so that you kind of maximize the value that your company receives from your bill of material. And so, while there's a lot of things that go into that maturity level, everything from, the simple parts list on the left to a highly configured, what we might call 200% BOM on the right. Most of us are going to live somewhere on that curve, and the secret is sort of teasing out where I need to be on that curve to get the most value for my company. So, let's move along. But today, as we focus on what information is important to my company, let's just take go through a quick little thought process about what's the possible information that could be on a bill of material. We've all seen bills of material that are unmanageably huge, the Excel spreadsheet with hundreds of columns. So I'm just going to ask you to think about today, what are some of the things that you might be important to your company to include in a bill of material, and then to narrow that down a little bit, at least for today's exercise. and think about, and I've kind of drawn some circles around some of those things that we might find that are vital. And then, you know, have some of those other things maybe as something we think about as we sort of work our way up that value maturity curve that we distribute. So I took the opportunity to kind of circle a few things we're going to use in our discussion today that always seem to be sort of the vital few of any bill of material. So, you know, part number, of course, obviously being important. You know, description, you know, images, and, you know, quantity, of course, the number of bits that are a particular thing that are in my BOM. So as we kind of get into the process here about, you know, we've had the stock process, let's break it down into a couple of categories. And this is how we kind of start to design this sensible BOM. And we're going to break it down into design data and business data. And design data is going to be that information that kind of comes from the design, the part or the usage. And I've highlighted some information here, you know, things like part number, you know, the material, you know, certainly the quantity. Those are things that are related to the individual part and its usage, in other words, in your product. And the other categories, and typically those may come from, and it might come right from my CAD system. In this example, we're going to do that. And then the second big category is business data. And this is more information more specific to your internal processes at your company, whether you build or buy, you know, do you use subcontractors, do you just buy and resell? I mean, so these are the things you want to ask yourself as you're kind of designing the second portion of it. And then I gave some examples there, you know, like, you know, costs and, you know, bin location, lead times, you know, is it a piece of sheet metal or is it a CNC part? And that may include also links to suppliers and specs. These are things that others in your company are going to find useful, but they do not and should not be stored in the CAD model. Certainly costs. Last thing you want to do is share out a Fusion or SolidWorks design with one of your subcontractors and have costs be available. So we want to think about it also just kind of from a business process as well. So we've gone through some process, we understand a couple of big categories, and now, you know, I'm thinking about what do I want this bill of material to look like? Is it orbits or is it kind of released within my company? And I just sort of sketched out what we think, you know, when going back a couple of webinars, here's what our thought for the bill of material looked like for a skateboard. You know, these are the type of things that you might see, certainly part number, quantity, description, costs. These are all those things. But we can see right away here, even with those items that have brackets around them, those are denoted as kind of business data, and the other items on the left, part number, quantity, those we think about as being design data. So this is sort of the end goal that we're going to that we seek, and we're going to build that here in just a moment. Let's go back to the skateboard example. You know, here's a product on the left and what a product structure might look like on the right. And I show this slide really just to kind of orient you to, you know, what the structure of the thing is that we're building here today, the skateboard, and what some of the kind of the terminology is and the sub levels. And you can see even in a simple thing like a skateboard, we can have sub assemblies that go down 2 or 3 levels deep. So it is important that we thought about this a little bit, and we include that information that is important, but not a lot of additional information that really kind of tends to complicate or cloud the issue of our bill of material as we circulate it with our company. So, okay, let's think about now. You know, we've thought about these 2 categories as we build the bill of material for our BOM. Let's bin those out. What are those things? And certainly on the CAD side, we're going to build our bill of material is going to include part number, file name, is this thing a part or an assembly, and of course quantity. That's the primary usage piece of information. How many of these things are in my product? How many wheels are on the skateboard? And second, as we think about the business data, you know, cross description, you know, bin location, images, a quantity on hand, and we see also the part number exists there as well. And the reason that I start to introduce that here is that part number is typically the link or index that relates information from the business to the design. So we're going to think about having, the part number exists both in our design data as well as in our business data. Okay, this next slide was really just sort of included as some eye candy for those of you that are interested in taking a deeper dive. This just shows you the relationship between a catalog or an item master and the bills of material. You can see the items in blue there are catalog business data. We see part number exists in both places, and the items in white are things that typically are BOM properties or design data. So that's something that you can look at at your leisure, and gives you a little more information. I'd like to jump in right now. It's 11 minutes. We're 11 minutes in. I'd like to jump into a live demo and kind of take you through that discussion that we just had on the skateboard. So in this example here, I'm going to jump into a SolidWorks model. And this is a SolidWorks educational design, so this is right out of the SolidWorks inventory of models. You guys can certainly find this. And I'm going to go through the steps. I'm going to use OpenBOM as an example here. We're going to go through the steps of building that bill of material with information coming from both a CAD or design and catalog or business data. So let's get started. What we've done is we've installed I've installed the OpenBOM add-in, and I'm going to visit the settings here to excuse me. Let me let you get that up on the screen. We're going to jump into the settings and just do a few things to kind of get started. We're going to sign in, and then we're going to create a template which will tell us what information we want to pull from both the bill of material as well as the catalog, what information we want to extract from our CAD system. So here we go. Here's the settings from OpenBOM. You can see that at first you'll need to sign in with username and password and things. There's some other option. In my case here, we're going to be building that multi-level bill of material. So you see that we've checked multi-level option. And then we've also created a template, one for bill of material. In this case, I'm going to include part number. As we go through this process initially, we're going to see that we're going to build just the vital few properties in. We'll see that OpenBOM automatically adds some of those other properties like type and thumbnail and quantity. Those are automatically created for the bill of material. We're also going to build a similar thing for the catalog, and similar template for the catalog, and we'll choose those properties that we want to use there as well. So the next step, after reviewing our templates, is to go ahead and create a catalog. So let's go ahead and do that. Okay. We'll finish up with our settings there, and we're going to use the Create Update Catalog button that's up on the ribbon bar there. So OpenBOM is creating a catalog. Let's go ahead and open that. Okay. So there we go. So this is a catalog or an item master of the skateboard. We brought this right in from CAD. You can see I've already taken the chance to add a couple of properties that we are going to be mastering in our catalog, some business information. I've added cost and description already. You can see I'm also adding bin location. We're going to show the storage location that we want to use here. So I'm using a feature inside OpenBOM to automatically number that sequence. I'm just assigning some arbitrary locations for bin locations. So this is our business data about what we're building. I'm also going to take an opportunity here to add a couple of things that are not stored in my CAD system, and I want to kind of show you how that is done. I'm going to add some glue or some Loctite. And I'm also going to add another item here that many people don't consider that it as really as a business, sometimes as a business property. I'm going to add labor. And I'm going to make this my $15 an hour labor. So we're including both some Loctite. There we go. I'm going to add the cost for the Loctite. And I'm going to add some labor. Okay. So I'm going to put my Loctite in bin number 5, and obviously labor is doesn't have a bin location, so we leave that blank. So what we're looking at here is, you know, we can continue to build this out. The value of a good bill of material starts with a good catalog definition. So I'm just taking a moment here to use some of the features of OpenBOM to add some images and pricing, other things to my catalog. Okay, so I'm wrapping that up, and we think, okay, here's a nice set of properties that represent my business data for my skateboard, and I'm thinking about how to build, moving on to building the bill of material now. So we're going to return back to SolidWorks. I'm going to just simply click the Create Update Bill of Material button, and OpenBOM is going to generate a bill of material. Now, first thing we're going to notice is that this bill of material looks a little sparse. It's just the information that has come from CAD. It doesn't yet know anything about my catalog. So this process, the next process is really where we're going to tie together both the CAD data, which I just created, and the business information stored in my catalog. So we're going to use a command inside OpenBOM called parts and catalogs. First, let me show you that we did bring in all that structure, sub-assemblies and lower level assemblies that came directly from CAD. So we're going to assign the longboard catalog to this bill of material. And I'm going to say connect through the part number like we discussed earlier. And what we start to see now is something that really starts to look like my bill of material. I'm going to do a little bit of organizing here. Like many people, I like my bills of material to look a particular way. So I'm going to do a little, I'm going to use the property reorder button to organize where the columns go in my bill of material. And then I'm also going to use some text modification things to kind of center things up. I happen to like quantities and other things to be centered. So let's sit on this for just a second. And we now have a bill of material that is that's blending both CAD design data, which you can see in sort of the white background columns. Also, those properties that do not have the brackets around them. So that is that's sort of the hint in OpenBOM that you're bringing this information from the catalog. And the catalog data. So, okay, here we go. So I've got my bill of material looking a little bit more kind of like it, and we can dive down into kind of those lower levels. This right now is a well-behaved bill of material that probably meets the needs of most of your organization. We have cost is coming in from our catalog. I'm going to return to catalog in just a moment and change the cost of the upper deck. So let me show you how that works. And what that will demonstrate is how we now have a central location for information. And if you refer to that slide in the earlier part of the presentation, if this was being used in multiple bills of material, you'd have a central, database of pricing information you can change in just one location, update in all those other bills of material as long as they're not released. So here we're changing that. We got a little better buy on the deck. We're going to change that from $11 to $9, and when we return to our bill of material, we'll see that the bill of material is updated. So at this point, I have a nice bill of material that I can, like I said, I can circulate with my colleagues in my company. It's both reusable and reliable. I can change costs in a single location. If any of my CAD structure changes, I simply return to SolidWorks and click on the update bill of material or update catalog buttons, excuse me, and both the catalog and the bill of material automatically update with any data that's coming from SolidWorks. So what I would like to show you now is that using the OpenBOM export feature, I can create and export a nice looking PDF that again I can circulate through my company. So I'm going to stop there. It's 22 minutes after. I'd like to see if there's any questions. First of all, let me get the final product up on the screen here to show the PDF, and then we'll take a few questions. You can type them into the chat box. Okay. Okay. So there, again, that is a nice looking bill of material. Minimalist, it has the minimal requirements for our company. It's expandable and repeatable. So, and of course, we can use we can share this with others in our organization. No need to save this out to a Excel or anything else. So. Okay, all right, I see someone's typing. Okay, so the question is, I already have costs in all my SolidWorks files as a property. Do I need to delete them everywhere in SolidWorks? And the answer is no. So the nice thing about the OpenBOM integration into CAD systems is that we have something called a template, and we can use the template to, like I've done in my example here, to map or to tell OpenBOM what information to bring from CAD. So let me go back to SolidWorks here and show you exactly what that means. Okay, so I've gotten back to SolidWorks. I'm going to go into the settings. And as you can see, we'll look at the BOM template, and you'll be able to see that from my CAD system, in this example, I already do have costs there on the left, and I've chosen not to bring that over. So for both my BOM and catalog templates, I'm not bringing in costs, and that way I can master that cost in OpenBOM. Okay, so the answer there is just to simply not bring in cost. Next question. I already have several BOMs with all my data in them. How can I now start using catalogs? Okay, so it's easier than you think. If you've already built some bills of material, and I'm going to use, again, I'll use OpenBOM here as an example. we've already built some BOMs in OpenBOM. Just return, create those catalogs. You can use the SolidWorks integration button to create, update a catalog. And then once you have that catalog created in OpenBOM, you can add those additional properties like we just discussed using the Add Property button. And then finally use the, excuse me, let me let screen catch up here. Finally use the parts and catalogs configuration feature to connect that catalog that you just created with your bill of material. And when you do that, the OpenBOM will recognize that those properties in your catalog are sort of mastered. They're the ones that you want to use. You'll be given the option. You'll say, gee, I want to update, I want to use these catalog properties now instead of my BOM properties. So in the end, what you'll have, once you link those two together, is you'll have just what we had on the screen, which is now, which will be a hybrid, a BOM that's a hybrid that shows both properties from your BOM, your existing BOM, as well as now those properties that you're bringing in from your catalog. I hope that wasn't too confusing. We can, you can shoot me a question at support@openbom.com, and we can dive into that more if we need to. And let's see, finally, I think there's one more question. We'll end with this. We use Fusion 360. Do parts and properties come through the same? And the answer is yes. If you're using Fusion, the UI inside the CAD system is a little bit different. You'll just want to right mouse button on the part properties in Fusion and set up those property values. And then the template editor in Fusion is exactly the same as the template editor settings that I'm showing you in SolidWorks. You'll just pick those items from the list and create a BOM or a catalog from that. So the UI that we've demonstrated here for SolidWorks is the same for all the CAD product integrations. Are very, very similar. So okay, we're just a few minutes short. I think I'm going to wrap that up today. And let's see, let me throw up a slide here if you have any more questions. Well, there's a slide summary that is in, there's a summary that's in the slide deck. I'm going to give this a moment to come up on the screen, and I'll just recap quickly the steps that we took. And I think you'll see how, in a half an hour on your own time, you'll be able to create a meaningful bill of material that has both, CAD or design data, as well as business and catalog data combined. So let me get back to my presentation here. Put this up on the screen. Okay. So what did we do? We installed the OpenBOM add-in in our CAD system. We used the settings options to create a couple of templates. One for catalog creation. Again, part number mandatory. I could have added additional properties. Material might be another one that we might have added there. Going to do the same thing for the bill of material. Again, part number is mandatory. The point I want to stress is kind of keep those template property lists short. In general, I think you're going to find that the bulk of the information in most bills of material is really business related and much less about CAD. CAD is, part numbers, structure, is it an assembly, is it a part, things like that. Cost, manufacturing information, vendor information, which we didn't cover, but we have some YouTube videos on. That all belongs in the catalog. So we created the templates. We went through a quick operation to create a catalog. We added that additional business information there, cost and bin location. We got that catalog looking good. The majority of your work should go into creating a well-defined catalog. That's our item master. That's the secret to building a functioning, repeatable, reliable bill of material, is to build a solid catalog. Finally, we clicked Create Update BOM. we got that structure information from CAD, and then we connected the two using the parts and catalog to assign the catalog to the BOM. And that's when we then saw we viewed that nice hybrid BOM that has both CAD and business information. So finally, the process that we just ran, you can just simply loop through it again to make any changes or updates from CAD just by clicking the Create Update button. So there's a couple more. There's a couple of blogs that I like. You can get these when we share this out. And then finally, we'd love to hear from you at support@openbom.com. And you can, of course, get more information about OpenBOM on our website. So thank you all for joining, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.